It's time to meet Clifton.
With your host, Ray Grabowski.
So welcome to another episode of Meet Clifton. Today's kind of a special day. You know, we've been doing Meet Clifton, and George, it's a special day for George. It's his birthday. He's been with me since the beginning, so I'd like to say happy birthday, George. We have a special show for you tonight. We have a lot of great guests, so sit back, stay tuned, and we'll be back in a minute.
Tonight's guests are author and relationship coach Sabrina Critchlow, City of Clifton Records analyst Ron Liss, restaurant owner Matthew Tiella, featuring the music of Swingman and the Misfit Mutts. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Meet Clifton.
Okay, so my guest tonight is Miss Sabrina Critchlow. She's an author, she's a speaker, and a relationship coach, and a marriage ambassador. She wrote a book, and I have it right here. It's called Married, Separated, I'm Back. So, welcome to the show. I appreciate you coming on, Sabrina.
Thank you so much.
Tell me why you're passionate about this topic.
Well, I'm passionate. I've been married for 31 years. And during the course of my marriage, my husband and I separated for 6 years. Hence the I'm back. How to endure for better or for worse. And so there were some very challenging times. And coming out of that and doing some coaching and being certified as a life coach, I thought, how can I do better in my marriage? And in doing so, there were so many things that God took me on a journey. I embarked on a journey of self-discovery. And that really took me down some difficult roads, some things that I had to acknowledge about myself. And so it was a challenge. And so I became very passionate because in America today, a lot of marriages are not sustained. A lot of people start off by saying, if it doesn't work out, I'm going to get a divorce. Like they've already put that, they've already claimed that, they've already decided that this is a part of their package. And so in doing so, I thought that addressing marriage, addressing the challenges of marriage, and addressing the things that we could do better was a great start. And it was a passion. It became a true passion for me to see not just my marriage turn around, but other marriages to turn around as well.
So Sabrina, that's all interesting, but why did you get married?
So growing up in Philadelphia, in a single mother home, my dad was in my life, but they lived separate. I always said, when I get older and I have my children, I'm gonna have a husband, I'm gonna have my kids. And so it was born from a place of lack. And I did not understand that until I began self-discovery and going down that journey and realized that the reasons in which I got married was not the reasons in which marriage was set up.
So let me understand the word lack, because I have here, how does one operate out of lack?
Lack is something that we don't have, or we haven't had, or there is a fear, it's a barrier. It's something that kind of obscures our vision. And so I realized that there were many things in my family, my upbringing, that I decided, I don't want that in my family. I don't want that in when I have my children. I don't want them to see that or be a part of that. And so their lack was born, or marriage, or the idea of marriage was born out of that.
Okay, I understand that. So in your book, and I haven't read it, but there's a superhero here somewhere. It's who or what is, what would that be?
In the early stages of my marriage, I was the superhero because I went in with lack. I went in deciding that I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that, that my children wouldn't have to suffer under certain things. And so because of that lack, I became the superhero in my marriage. I began to wear all types of hats and capes, and I was going to do it perfect. But in that perfection, I became very overwhelmed in life. I became overwhelmed in my marriage, overwhelmed going to work, overwhelmed taking care of the kids, cooking, doing all the things that mothers do, wives do. And so out of that, that's where the superhero came.
Okay, because that can be overwhelming at times when you're wearing every hat and every role in the family. It's difficult.
And it was very overwhelming to the point that I decided I'm not wearing that anymore.
Right, because usually when you have marriages and kids, two people are involved. When it turns into be one, it's a more difficult task because now you play both roles.
Absolutely. But for me, I wasn't playing both roles. My husband was there.
Okay. Well,
so
that's good.
My husband was there, but he was providing. And sometimes those roles where men are from old school, where they're the providers, and then the woman is the one that's in the home taking care of the children and cooking and laundry and all those things. But I also worked a full-time job.
And being a domestic and being a mother, that is a job in itself.
Absolutely.
So when you're working that, you're actually working two full-time jobs.
Two full-time jobs.
Which is a lot.
It's a lot.
I know I hear people say it could get overwhelming. So now you have here a marriage table. So explain that a little bit.
The marriage table, that's a very interesting subject all by itself. And who sits at your marriage table? Now, I know I can't ask you that, Ray. But who sits at your marriage table is very important. It's very important because who you get information from, who influences your decisions is very important. When you have those moments where, spouses don't always get along, but you have that girlfriend that say, oh, forget about him. Oh, girl, let's go do something that that will go against something he would want you to do.
Right.
And so who sits at your marriage table is very important. You want somebody with some wisdom, someone who's going to tell you that's not the right way to go. That's not the right thing to do. Someone to be objective and not necessarily take sides, but take the side of what's right and encourage the relationship to grow and to flourish.
So a lot of times my interpretation of marriage table would be family. Sometimes it's family, a mother or father or sister or brother. Does it necessarily have to be family?
No, it could be friends. And a lot of times it is friends because oftentimes we want to hide what's really going on in our marriage.
That's true.
And so you look to your friends, those who are closest to you, to share and be vulnerable with them.
Right.
And if you don't have the right people sitting there at your table, you'll end up like me, separated.
Okay. And then you want them to be objective, obviously.
Absolutely.
Because your friends are sitting at the marriage table and may tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly.
And you want someone to be honest.
Absolutely.
It's very hard to find someone.
Authenticity is what it's all about, truly, to be successful in not just marriage relationships, but just relationships in general across the board.
Right. Because I'm sure most people don't want to hear the truth. But a true friend will tell you the truth, I'm sure.
Yes, I have found that.
Okay, good. And lastly, I have this question here. It says, hard work.
Yes. Ooh. Marriage is hard work. But when you find yourself in situations where your marriage is not where you want it to be, or you've operated in your marriage out of lack, then there's some hard work that you must do. You must go deep within yourself, self-discovery, self-reflection, and see what is truly driving the marriage. Is it the fact that you and your husband sat down once you were married and decided things specific to your family that you want? Are you bringing in a lot of dynamics from your past? And most of us bring in a lot of dynamics from the past, and therefore hard work is really important. And that's where I found a lot of my healing in hard work, because I began to reflect what was going on with me, why I made certain decisions, and using my husband and blaming him and wanting him to make me happy. But there were so many things that came along before that I was unhappy about before him. And so putting that responsibility on him was unfair. It was too heavy a burden for him to carry. And so I had to really look at that and work on that. And so hard work became very instrumental in the healing in my marriage.
Okay, I see that. So it's more like hard work, really, not hard work.
Oh, it's hard work.
Yeah.
There's things in the recesses of our heart that don't always come up until we begin to uncover it. It's like you peeling back the layers of an onion.
You think a lot of it stems from your childhood or growing
Yes.
up, family dynamics
Yes.
between parents and siblings. So what you're saying, sometimes you harbor this and it shows up in the
It
relationship?
shows up in the marriage, and then you have to go back and remember that that person was not a part of that,
Right.
that history. They're the new part of your life, and so you need to have a huddle with them. That's one chapter of my book, Leave It All on the Field, where you huddle with your husband and you come back and you strategize with him so that y'all can walk out of the home together on the same page, and so that you have a win every day.
Right, so I think technically you have to not hold your spouse responsible for your shortcomings or what happened in your past.
Absolutely.
And many of us do.
Yes,
I'm
we
sure in
do.
marriages, you bring it, I guess you put it on the other person.
Right. Expecting
which-
them to make you happy, and it's not their responsibility to do that. That's your responsibility.
Okay, well, I appreciate this. It sounds like a
Yes.
great book. I mean, I'm glad I know you wrote other books too. We'll have you on another time. But this sounds very interesting and probably good reading for people that are struggling.
Yes.
So I would recommend that you read this book. But in the meantime, thank you for coming on.
Thank you
I
so much for
appreciate
having
it.
me. I really appreciate your
Hopefully
time.
people will read this book and
I
get
hope
some
they
information.
will.
But
Yes.
thank you again. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hello, Clifton and friends, and welcome to the updates. I'm Sharon Krabanix. Well, to keep you healthy, the Clifton Health Department has arranged for a free eye screening for all residents on January 30th from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. But you do have to register. It's right at City Hall, so please call 973-470-5773. And to keep you not only healthy but happy, there will also be a mental health screening on February 2nd from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And as a reminder, this will take place at the Clifton Satellite Office on 207 Parker Ave. So please call to register at 973-265-1533. And for a fun event to keep you laughing, since laughter is the best medicine, the Theater League of Clifton will be presenting a tribute to Carol Burnett. There will be a dinner and show with show dates in February and March at Mario's Restaurant right here in Clifton on Van Houten Avenue. So please go to the Theater League of Clifton website so you can get more information and you can buy your tickets. And through a recent conversation with a good friend Tom and Hello Virginia, we were highlighting what is good and positive in Clifton. So let's think of it as a reminder. There are many things that Clifton has to offer the residents, such as it's close to New York City. You can take a train in, the bus in, you can Uber it in, you could drive in, or if you want to stay locally, remember that there are specialty restaurants, delis, it's close to houses of worship, there are many retail stores, physician offices, doctor offices, chiropractors. So whatever you need is in Clifton. So we do encourage you to think Clifton first, and you might be delightfully surprised at what you might find. So thank you again for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you again around town. And stay warm.
Hi, I'm Bill Kaufman. I'm the director of Theater League of Clifton's new show, A Salute to Cal Burnett. And I have with me Felicia Benson-Kraft, one of my actors, and my assistant, Joanna Sigurdsson-Schupp, who is also an actress in the show. I guess all of you remember the great Cal Burnett show. And what we're doing is we're going to recreate some of the best stuff that Cal Burnett did. And some of your most famous skits, some of the very best. We're going to do Mama's Family, Felicia's Mama. And we're going to do Mrs. Wiggins. We're going to do, everybody's favorite, Gone with the Wind. Went with the Wind. And I have a group of actors, many of whom you've seen before. And we're going to do, we're going to sing. We're going to dance a little. We're going to have, every week, we're going to have guest stars, just like Cal Burnett had every week guest stars. Joanna, you want to talk a little about what we're going to do?
Well, it's a dinner and a show, and we're going to do some When with the Wind, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, some skits and guest appearances. I think you covered it all. Maybe some improv.
As the Stomach Turns,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorites.
As the Stomach Turns, that's the spoof of soap opera.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we're all going to be there to laugh, to have a good time, to enjoy. Everybody enjoys Mario's, and every year we go and we look forward to our time in the restaurant and to have a good time and to eat. And I think we have a very special guest this year. A cameo maybe from a certain guy. Ray.
You're just going to have to come see.
You're just going to have to come see. Every night a little bit
A
different.
little bit different.
Felicia, what do you want to tell us?
Well, as one of the actors in the show, I can tell you that we will be following the breaking each other up rule. You know, we're going to improv, we're going to stick to the script. Some of us will dance. I will not, but some of us will dance. And I have to tell you, Carol Burnett was a hero of mine growing up. Through my acting career, she's been a hero of mine, so it's very near and dear to my heart, as is Bill and as is Joanne. So I hope you all come out to see it. It's going to be amazing. And you already know Mario's has amazing food. So what's better than great food and great entertainment?
February 10th through March the 3rd.
4 weekends.
4 weekends. Get your tickets now. Already lots of people bought tickets.
It'll sell out.
So it's going to sell out. Last year we did Meshuggah Nuns and every performance sold out. So get your tickets now.
Come see us.
Come see us. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Okay, welcome back. My next guest is actually works for the city of Clifton, Mr. Ron Liss. One of his responsibilities, and we're going to talk about that, and he will explain, is Oprah, O-P-R-A. A lot of people don't know it. As you hear about it, the term thrown around a lot. So, Ron, welcome to the show. I appreciate it. And maybe just first, tell us what Oprah is.
Ray, thank you for the opportunity to come tonight. Oprah is an acronym, stands for the Open Public Records Act. It's an act that was made law back in the year 2002 by the state of New Jersey, allowing the public to get access to public records held by a municipality or county or the state.
Now, Ron, why would someone come in? What would they want? Give me an example of why they would ask for an
So
Oprah.
someone may want records regarding a project going on, maybe a building project, and they want to see what the permits are. They may want to know if there's code enforcement violations. So what really happens is this. They come in, they either come in person, or they can mail it in, or they can fax it in, and we take it in, and we send it out to the respective departments that are involved in given requests. They get back to us, and then we forward the records back to the requester. There are some records that are not allowed, they're exempted under the law, and we do not provide them, and we explain the reasons why we don't.
And I was going to ask you that too. Can they ask for personnel information? What can't they do?
Well, they can't ask for certain personal information. They can't ask for social security number. They can't ask for driver's license. They can't ask for a credit card. They can't ask for phone numbers that are not listed. So those personal items would be excluded, and we would state the reason why. And if they're on a given record that we do provide, we redact it, meaning we black it out so it's not seen.
So now they probably, let's say someone in the city, one of the departments, there's disciplinary action taken or something, they can't find out what that was.
No, that would fall under an exclusion or exemption because that's a personal record that would not be released in that situation. The other thing is we have up until 7 business days to respond back to the requester, starting with the next business day after we receive the Oprah request. And normally we get it done within 7 days. Sometimes we have to ask for an extension, And when we do, we put it in writing, and we ask the requester, will you please give us the opportunity to extend the due date? Most of the time they do it.
Okay, is there a fee involved?
There's a fee if you elect to come in and take our response back on paper. So if it's an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, record, it's 5 cents a page. If it's 8.5 by 14, it's 7 cents a page. But if we email it to you, there's no charge.
Oh, really? It's interesting. Well, because there's no paperwork. Goes right. What I wanted to ask too is, can people Oprah records of a meeting?
Yes, they can Oprah records of a meeting, even though the minutes may be on the website. They can, in fact, Oprah those type of records, whether it's a council meeting, a board of adjustment, or a planning board.
Okay. Now, could someone Oprah finding out who Oprah an Oprah request?
Yes, Oprah itself is a public record.
Okay.
So you can Oprah other Oprahs, and there have been situations, not here, where this goes on, it gets quite involved, where A is Oprahing B and B is
Right.
Oprahing A, and yeah, that gets a little bit hairy.
So someone could, let's say myself, I Oprah'd something on someone, they could find out who.
Well, they can Oprah your Oprah and the response to your Oprah. So we then have to provide that. And what we do is we track the Oprahs, and we have a system set up basically on the computer. This past year we had 1,800 Oprahs.
No kidding.
So we had quite a few, 1,800 exact. We got the last one in on December 31st.
Wow. Are a lot of these Oprahs come from the legal department?
Well, there are Oprahs that will come from law departments from elsewhere. They'll come from citizens. They'll come from companies that are building databases. And they're not precluded from doing it because the Oprah law says you can basically ask for any record that we can provide, no matter who you are. And normally we give them everything they need. Again, if it's exempted. Now, I should point out, there are exemptions. We have 27 exemptions,
Wow.
not counting another 12 that are in another enactment that was done back in 2002. So really, if you add the two together, it's something on the order of 39 exemptions in total, whereby we do not provide the record, and we state very clearly the reason why we don't.
Okay, so you have to give them the reason, right?
Yeah, if we don't provide a record, we have to state in writing what the exemption is and cite it. If we give them a record where we redact or black out certain information, we have to state very clearly why we're redacting the information, because it would be exempt under the law.
Is it ever challenged?
Yes, we've been challenged a couple of times, and if it's challenged, the challenger has two choices. They can go to the Government Records Council, and that's the state agency that's in charge of administering the law on a statewide basis, or if they want to go to court, they can file a suit in a common law situation in the court. Normally, they wouldn't hire an attorney. Normally, they'll go to the Government Records Council, the GRC, and they'll notify us, and then we get involved. Well, then we have the legal department get involved in that if that happens. We rarely get challenged. We've been very fortunate, and the ones that we've been challenged, we've been able to withstand the challenge and not have to go any further.
Okay, so basically, last question is, someone Oprah something, it could be time consuming. So what happens is, you or who else does it has to put a lot of time in. It could cost technically the city or the taxpayers a lot of money if someone requests an Oprah that's involved.
Right. So what happens in that case, and that's a good point, occasionally, not too often, someone will Oprah and it'll be a very large effort, what we call an extraordinary expenditure of time and effort. We then have to cost out, and that's one thing I do, the time involved for all the people in the Oprah, whatever extra material might be involved, and we give them that cost. If they agree to it, they have to pay it in advance, and then we move forward. But yes, that can happen. Luckily, it doesn't happen too often.
Right. Okay, but it's still an expense to the taxpayers of
right.
course, the cities. So I know you're allowed to Oprah. I would hope people just don't Oprah frivolous things just to give you something to do. Wouldn't be the right idea. But
we have situations where, like I said, we'll have people Oprah for personal reasons. They may have a situation they don't get along with someone and they're Oprahing records on a neighbor. We've had those kinds of situations.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And then so they'll Oprah records related to the neighbor. And if the records are releasable, building department records, code violations, we'll release them. Again, if it's exempt, we state the reason why we will not, and we put it in writing.
Okay, so Ron, I appreciate that. I guess it explains it a little bit. A lot of people don't understand the Open Public Records Act, but hopefully they understand a little better, and I appreciate you coming on and
You're welcome. Sure.
letting us know. Thanks very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. My next guest is a Clifton resident, born and raised, became very successful, Mr. Matthew Tayella. How are you, Matt? Nice to see you.
Ray. Thanks for having me here tonight.
Matthew is the owner of Matthew's Restaurant in Clifton, and that place has been there a long time. Why I asked Matt on is because we like to highlight Clifton people that have done very well with their lives in Clifton, and Matt is probably more Clifton than me. So you're here a long time. But so let me tell you, how'd you get involved in this? I know you started young.
Yep, at the age of 14, I worked for a gentleman named George Menusa, who was a wonderful human being. He gave me the opportunity to work at his restaurant at La Fenestra, which is up by the monastery, or was up at the monastery, up on the hill. I begged him for a job for about 6 to 8 months, and then he finally said, come to work, and I've been working Saturday nights ever since. So that was step one. So without George, I'm not here today.
Yeah, and I know George because he managed the Grand Saloon.
Yep.
We became good friends. All right, so you worked there. Now, how do we get to where we are today?
Well, then I went to work for right from there I went to Friendly's, which was, I always say to this day, one of the hardest jobs is making a fribble. Definitely a very challenging job, learned some good restaurant experience there. Then I went over to Bella Napoli, that became Cafe Di Amici, for about 7.5, 8 years now.
What'd you do there? Because
Food
you're
runner.
young. I mean,
I started with them when I was around 17. Then I went to work with them for about 7 years.
And then you worked your way up to...
Sorry, there was a food runner, went to a busboy, went to a waiter, kind of worked...
Yeah, that's what I'm
the ins
saying.
and
I mean,
outs.
actually, that probably helps because you've worked from the ground floor up.
Yeah. That, I always say the joke is I'm still the food runner, busboy, waiter, accounts payable, accounts receivables, manager, therapist, electrician. I do it
You're a
all
one-man
now.
show, but let me tell you, you do have a great restaurant, and I guess you just did the right thing. But it's ironic because you literally started from the bottom.
Yeah.
Which is amazing, and you're a Clifton guy, so we know your restaurant's doing really well.
And I always say I'm never leaving Clifton. This is it.
You sound like me.
This is it.
But literally, you almost can't.
Yeah.
What do you open, 6 nights a week?
7 days, 7 nights.
7 days, 7 nights.
Yep.
And you're pretty much
Every day.
there most of the time, right?
95% of the time, except when I'm doing interviews with the mayor.
Yeah, well, no, it's nice to know, and it's a good feeling that when someone grows up in Clifton and does really well, and everybody knows you, because as soon as you mention your name, Matt. Oh, we love Matt. We love Matt.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very.
But
nice to
but
hear.
you're right. You run a nice place. The food is excellent. I think most people have eaten there, and and it's small. Let me just have you take on this. It's a small restaurant, and everybody says, "Gee, should he expand?" But
Yeah,
I don't.
It's not going to happen. I always say, if you see me at another restaurant, if I open up more, if you see me at another restaurant, I better be sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because
one restaurant, one size, that's it. If I go up, I'm going to go down.
Oh, because sometimes people take these things and they elaborate and they get bigger, and then it's not the same.
There's something to be said for an atmosphere that's full as opposed to open space.
So let me ask you, I know you're busy all the time, but with the On3 project, the new hotel, and the Hackensack University and Seton Hall, and Ralph Lauren.
Yep.
And that's all going to come to fruition really soon.
Yeah, well, it's definitely started. They are great neighbors to have, especially in your backyard. We're supported with next door to us, which is a true gentleman. His name is Joe Calabro. He shows us a lot of good support with his office and so forth. And then we have down the street, we have the On3 project, which is with Gene Diaz, has done wonderful things down there.
No,
So
it's
a
a
lot
great
of
project.
big names and corporations down there that are doing wonderful things, and we're lucky to have them.
No, in proximity to you, that's great for your business because you're technically the only restaurant in town over here.
Now there's a lot of competition, but we try
But
to stay out in certain
you're
ways.
keeping busy, and you don't have to worry about lulls, which is really good. You close for any vacation, by the way?
2 weeks in August.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Yeah, everybody I talk to says, Matt's got to take a break here
Yeah.
because he's working way too much.
Yeah.
But so how long have you been the owner now?
14 years now.
14 years. And you
14
worked
years,
7 years
3
before
weeks.
that?
Pretty much 10 years before that, a couple other years, so almost 26 years in the restaurant business.
Great. Well, so Matt, if I could ask you one question. I know you started from the bottom. If you had to sit there and talk to children or kids and tell them how to get rolling, what would be your advice?
I'd probably say to them, probably the most important thing is whatever you do in life, you want to love what you do. If you're going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week, or in our case, 80 plus, you definitely want to love what you do, and everything should come together. But you want to be razor sharp at what you do it well, treat everybody fairly, and everything should come together.
Right. And like I guess the old quote is, if you love what you do for work, you'll never work.
Yeah.
Which is pretty. Well, you're going to work,
Right.
but you love it. You don't.
You got to
mind
work
it.
hard.
Right.
That's no matter what business you're in, you're always going to have to work hard to
be successful.
To be successful in this day and age. Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Listen, I'm just glad you came on and explained this because, like I said, we like to highlight Clifton people that have done well, and you have. And
Thank you very much.
You're a Clifton guy, born and raised here. Your family's here. It's great that you came on to share your story
you.
because it's important for younger kids to see. Listen, you work hard, you become successful.
So this is a great town. I always say it's a great town to do business in, to live here, to raise your families here. There's a lot to offer, and I'm proud to say I'm from here.
Good, thank you. Matt, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
I'll
you
try to
very
get
much.
into your restaurant as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll be right back. We thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. And of course, it's George Silva's birthday today, so we wish him a happy birthday. But as always, be good to your friends and family, respect your neighbors, keep Clifton close to your heart. This is a great city. Thank you, God bless, and good night.